Hi guys, what's happening? Hope we're all good today. We're back with another episode of Behind the Grid podcast. I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Mark today. Mark, say hello.
Hi all.
So yeah, Mark. Interestingly, we've got MJS and NJS on the podcast today.
Yeah,
Nice.
I've literally just realised that. To be fair,
Yeah, nice little collab.
Works well.
Yeah, so we're going to talk to Mark today about what he's getting up to, where he started his coaching journey, and again talk about some topical cricket stuff that's going on at the moment, and then obviously the funny segments at the end. So yeah, Mark, if you want to just introduce yourself to the pod and just tell us who you are, really.
Cool. So my name's Mark Smallwood. I'm 29 years old. I've been coaching now for 15, nearly 16 years. Based around Nottinghamshire, and then branched out a little bit just because of where my cricket club is into Derbyshire a little bit now as well. So I'm level 3 qualified, which was. I was supposed to just qualify just before COVID, and then that all happened and pushed everything back, which was the same as you had Josh Sevier on.
Yeah.
Exactly the same with Josh. So I was on the same course as him.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, it's been an exciting one. And then MJS Cricket Coaching came out of COVID really. Just how I was gonna get back to coaching quicker. And with the uncertainty of everything over the last few years, it's been an interesting one and exciting as well.
Yeah, COVID's it's been crazy. I said during the COVID year, I call it the year, 18 months, I was training to be a PE teacher, which was carnage, to put it politely. So it kind of threw everything out of the window, and I noticed quite a lot of people actually, the turning point was COVID. I think COVID, as horrible and as bad as COVID was, it actually for some people turned out really, really well.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. It made me think so differently in a lot of aspects. Gave me the thinking time. I'd been working at Notts in the community side in schools, and doing some of the county age group stuff, and I didn't really have a break for probably. I went to Australia on a gap year after I finished uni, and then went straight into work and wasn't using holidays as I should be. So actually, the first couple of months of it for me was just a break, which was really nice. And then actually found, if I do this, I can then have the option and the time to do other stuff, and the stuff you more enjoy doing, and it'll be the same with you. The stuff that you enjoy doing is the cricket-based coaching, and more specifically into your batting, your bowling and fielding and your team stuff. And so it's been, mate, it's been absolutely wild with it. But there's been some real positive things that have come out of it as well.
Yeah, that's great to hear. So talk to me a little bit about where your coaching journey started and kind of how you've got to the position you're in now. So
I was either 13 or 14, and we just happened to be up at the cricket club on the Friday night. I was having a net with one of my friends, and one of the other lads' dads was coaching the juniors, and we then he asked us if we could help with the under 11s, I think it was at that point, and it just grew from there. Then a couple of weeks later, we just happened to be there on a Friday night on me, and again, can you help? And then that became a regular thing, which then built into, I did my level 1, however many years ago that was now. Yeah. And then I started my level 2 when I was playing under 17s at Notts, and didn't actually finish the course because we had I think I had a game, an under 17s game, so I couldn't actually complete one part of the course.
Right. Yeah.
So I had to redo the course a year later, which was the best thing I ever did. because it allowed me then, when I was at uni, well, then went off to uni, had a couple of months where I went to Sri Lanka, playing a little bit just through some connections that I'd got through the cricket club. Did a little bit of like learning whilst I was out there, and then came back and went to uni, and was coaching. I'm sure with yourself with uni, it's very different now, getting back to a bit more normality. But when I was there, it was everything was a free for all, which was brilliant. And we had a bloke called Alex Morris, who's I'm sure Almo's level 3 and he might be a level 4. Played at Hampshire when he was younger, and learned so much off of him. And when he wasn't there, was them running the sessions, and then got cascaded across into the women's section, and sort of just built it up, got more involved at my home cricket club, and then sort of taken on head coach there, and been really lucky I've got my brothers in Australia, so been able to have the opportunity to go out there and play and coach as well. And then it's sort of all built in, come back from Australia when I was 24, having had some experience abroad in Sri Lanka and Australia, both playing and coaching, all the stuff I'd done with uni with the coaching, and then got straight involved at Notts, which was really fortunate in some aspects, just sort of having that little in that then allowed me to get involved more and more. And then I was doing that up until COVID, and then it's sort of, I've been a bit stop-starty with the MJS stuff, and still doing some county age group stuff as and when I can. And then it's been very stop-starty, specifically when I ruptured my Achilles in August.
Oh wow!
So it was we'd come out of lockdown, and then I was back in lockdown, kind of thing. So it's been really, again, it's been a good time to have it. I reckon if I was much younger, I wouldn't have coped with it very well. Compared to now, where you use the time differently and more wisely, of going, right, actually I can plan, I can do this, that having the support of friends and family around me. And then it's actually, well, it's only 6 months of your life, rather than, it's been 6 months now, still going on, but it's 6 months of your life that actually you can, if you use it properly, you can set yourself up to expand and grow. So it's exciting. For me, it's been actually quite good. And to get to where I am now is really, really positive, and probably wouldn't have thought I was going to be here now 10 years ago. It's good. It's something I'm always looking forward to and really thankful for.
That's good. I think that one of the things that we're really blessed and lucky with is that we love what we do. You wake up in the morning, and I never dread going to work. I'm always really, I've just had COVID, so it was a really weird time, because we had back where I'm based in Suffolk, so I work with some people in Suffolk and Essex, and the half terms were 2 different weeks, which was really odd. I can get my head around it. My week my schedule just completely changed, and then I got COVID, and so for about 2.5 weeks my schedule just went out the window, and it was horrible. It was horrible not getting back to work. But yesterday was kind of my first day back, and I was just buzzing to get back into work and coaching again. But I'm very jealous of Australia. I haven't been, and it's on the bucket list.
It's worthwhile doing. I've been having some of the lads I'm doing some work with, because I've started back doing little bits now, and some of them are 16, 17, just starting to drive, like all that stuff that seems so long ago when I was doing that. And then it's but I'm thinking of a gap year, and I would always encourage people to go and do it. if you have the opportunity, because it doesn't just it builds life skills.
Yeah.
So when I went to Australia, okay, I went there because my brother's there. But if I take when I was 18, going to Sri Lanka for a couple of months, you were in a country where, well, I didn't speak much Sinhalese, if any, at that time. And I only speak very limited now, and probably the bits you shouldn't speak. And you just learn of joining in different cultures, which in cricket is massive. Like the multicultural diversity in there is phenomenal. So it helps you so much, just building up your skills. And then for us now coaching, we use those skills with the different people we work with, and comes around like when they sound person centered. Well, actually, that's what it's all about. Even within the team, well, when Sri Lanka, they were having to adapt to me speaking English and understanding what they were talking about, and I was also having to pick up odd words. Australia, it was the same. Like they very, very different in how they played cricket and how they went about the business. So it set me in really good stead. So I always encourage them to do it if they have the opportunity to do it as well.
We had a couple of lads that from my club that did the Darren Lehman program out in Adelaide, and they loved it. Helped their cricket, got to experience some really good cricket over there. And I know one of the lads that he was on Warwickshire's books, and was really unlucky that he kind of his final year in the academy was COVID, so he didn't get the chance to push on. And the stories he's got from Oz are funny, but as you say, I think it's if you've got the opportunity, I think it's brilliant. And as someone you've experienced it, I think that would we just had our county, so I work for Suffolk Cricket, and we've just had a group of 16 under 14, under 15s just got out to Sri Lanka for a tour.
Nice.
They just, and I was talking to one of the lads last night actually, and he said he just said touring was great, the cricket not so great. I was like, what do you mean? He said, we got whacked.
It's frightening. I said I'm not particularly big now, like physically, and I'm sure the lad was 30. Well, he may have been 16 or 17, but he looked about 12 or 13, and just the like batting in the nets, and he hit this ball, and it went miles. And they played big grounds, and I'm stood there going like I'm bigger than, like at that age, like, well, I'm bigger, I'm stronger, I should be able to do it. And then you sort of the realization of they use their bodies so much better, their awareness and that kind of stuff, and the stuff they do is just was so different, and the way they did it was just so different to anything we'd ever been taught at that point. When you're talking 10 nearly 12 years ago now. So it has moved on, but it was frightening at that point. So it's a proper gauge of how different countries are, and how they go about things. So it's something I would always try and get people to go and do.
Yeah, funny enough, he said, he was like, we played on, I'm not sure what test ground they played on, but they played on a test ground. And he said, this 14-year-old just whacked us over some mini stand, and he was like, I think he got 80 or like 30 balls on a pitch that was turning square. So for those lads, like that's amazing for them to have that opportunity to go and see a different part of the world, to go and play cricket, and that, like, that's just a dream. I think for 14, 15-year-olds to go and play cricket on holiday, pretty much.
If someone said to me now, you're going to spend 6 months here, 6 months in England, and you're just doing summers, always warm weather, you don't have to, it'd be the absolute dream.
Oh no.
Just going and like coaching, but like suntan stuff like that, it'd be awesome. Not always possible, like, but
no.
but it would be ideal.
As I look outside, it's all grey and misty.
I just have my room's next to the conservatory, so it's like we've had rain all night, keeping me awake. So
No.
it's not been the best.
No, it's not. It's grim. It's grim. We just 6 weeks at the start of the season. I was thinking, oh my word, it's not. It's too long. So talk to me a little bit about not. So you said you mentioned you played county age. How was that?
So I was very fortunate in with school, and so I played age group hockey and age group cricket. So I'm one for multi-sports, like especially at a young age. So we go and try them because the different team skills. For hockey, for example, so I've always swept really well, and I'm a big believer that that's actually a lot to do with hockey, just with the wrist work, and it allows you the same ball just slightly later, and you can then just use wrists, different gap. So that was because I was doing them at the same time. At the time, I actually probably preferred hockey. So then when I was doing the cricket, it was like, you've got to go. But I did to sort of under 15s, then had a year out, just stopped enjoying playing. Played club cricket, and that was nothing to do with like Notts itself. It was just where I was at. And you were sort of also at 15, you start to, you realise what's going off around you, in how good other players are or how good you are in comparison. And at that age, you think, if I don't get any runs, actually, that's me done, kind of thing. And the mindset around it was then I was playing really well at hockey, but cricket wasn't. I'd had maybe 2 or 3 innings where it didn't go so well, and then I'm like, this is rubbish. And at 16s, just went, don't want to do it. I went back in at 17s. Was really fortunate when I was at 15s. We had Paul Johnson, who was fantastic. Like he did the world of good for me. But it was just then we didn't have him enough, or I didn't see enough of him. That when he was there, I loved it. And then didn't see him, and it didn't have that. So that coach relationship with the player was massive for me at that age. And didn't at 16s, just not bothered. 17s got back in, and there was Chris Tolley, and some of my mates were playing in it as well. So it was a good experience. Wasn't quite good enough to kick on to go into the academy at any point at that age. Whether I had the skill or the talent is personal opinion or people's opinion, but probably didn't really have the work ethic at that point in cricket, which has, again, it's led me in really good stead when I went to uni and abroad, and that it then put me in really good stead to actually go on and kick on and get the best out of other people as well, and allowed me to play a little bit of British universities. So it was, it's something that I've not, from a playing point of view, taught me a lot. But then actually it's always been, do I really want to be trying to push on and playing? Which coaching came in, hockey was still around, and then got to 18 and went, hockey went, and it was, I want to play, but actually I want to go down the coaching. So it was really good for me in all those experiences. And you always remember the good things and the bad things. And unfortunately, it's human nature, the bad things always tend to you remember them more than the good things, which is a bit, I'm still working at it, trying to remember the better things, but it was a good, really, really positive experience for me. But I know other people that have had a completely different experience with it. So it's, did you go through a county system or?
No. My cricket journey was a little bit weird actually. I didn't start playing until I went to secondary school. I went to a grammar school, so
Yeah.
cricket were the two big sports. But rugby not so much for me. Get on the wing, you're a bit fast, avoid the trouble. And I sacked that off as quickly as I could. In year 9, I was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. But cricket, and I played at a local village club and played adult cricket from like the age of 15, 16, which for me was amazing. Like getting into adult cricket was the first step, and then I moved clubs to like a bigger, kind of well-established club, and was fortunate enough to play Premier League cricket for them.
Yeah.
Way too above my pay grade, mind you. I'm twos captain now for the club, so
nice.
Kind of found my level, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the captaincy. It's something that's really helped me in my game, give me a bit of purpose. But playing Premier League cricket was just, it was. I think I said before, like on the podcast, we 2-3 years ago we had a South African overseas who just played for South Africa against New Zealand, Glenton Sturman. Yeah, so we had an Aussie lad who was playing in the Big Bash. Like these people, you learn so much off of them. My game got so much better just by playing at a standard. But and it's really interesting that you can have different routes. Like I didn't really get coached too much as a kid. I didn't go through any county setup, anything like that. I just kind of played for the love of it and learned as I went along, really.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. Like just watching from some of your other bits from the podcast, like the community side of it, and like when I was, I think 12 or 11 or 12 or something, I think there used to be, I think it was called Bebo or something.
Yeah, Bebo.
Something like that. And that was your social media, but there wasn't everyone on there. Whereas now it's gone Facebook and Instagram. You've got not just from us, just like this. I'm in Nottinghamshire. You're like in Suffolk. It's
mad, isn't it?
It's miles away, and yet you can just connect with someone, have a chat with them, like speaking to different coaches, seeing what they do, different players. Like Marnus Lavashane puts loads on all the time.
Yeah.
So the learning side of it is awesome. Whereas when I was younger, you learn off your overseas and your pros would come in. Coaching, yes, there was coaching around, but you sort of got to a point and then it stopped. Unless you wanted to personally carry it on. Whereas now most clubs have a coach. And that just helps so much, and so much learning you can always do. Which is something that I've always been brought up to do that as well. And like you said, we're overseas players, just the way they go about their business, how they help everyone. And you can be really lucky with a bit of potluck of getting a really good overseas. And by the sound like you've been really lucky with it, I've been really lucky with playing with some as well, and against some. And they're always happy to speak to you and go, oh, why don't you try this? Or this is how I do it, this is why. So it teaches you the process is so important. And it's massive in the game. And youngsters love seeing an overseas.
Mate, proper. We had so the Aussie lad Cameron Valente, he was at the Strikers, and just the conversations that you could have with him. I remember we'd played a game, and no, it wasn't even a game. It was a training session, and the night before a game, and we were just walking around having a chat with a beer, and we were just talking cricket, and he really cared about the club, and he was great. He was so talented as well. I remember with the bowling machine on, set it about 75, 77, and he was just nailing drives. And then he'd move like 3 yards to his left and then hit cuts. and then he'd come down the pitch and then play full toss or Yorkers or something. Then he'd go,
Yeah.
oh mate, and he was just dancing around with the bowling machine. I was like, and there's me getting there going, ooh.
Yeah, mate, it's absolutely frightening. We were trying to think when it was. I think it was 2007 or 8. We had Faf du Plessis at like when he was 21.
Oh my word.
And you were sort of like, oh, this kid's a bit good. But you didn't, obviously at that point, you're like, not really sure. And I can't remember exactly what he didn't do as well for us as you thought he would with the way he started. Because he got off, I think he got off the plane on, it was either Friday night or Saturday morning. Turned up and they were playing at Papawick, and everyone else was cancelled, rainy day. So we'll go and watch, see what the overseas is like. And everyone else scratching around, and he got 120. Walked off and went, sorry. Slept over tea, went out, fielded, and it was unbelievable. Just like, and you were just sort of like, oh my God. But then was playing knots twos, banging like double hundreds and stuff. And you were like, oh, this kid's a bit good. Then turned up at Lancashire, and then he's gone on to do everything he has. And you just don't, I don't think that you get that in any other sport.
No. I said this. You don't get that anywhere else. The fact that we had. So I looked at the first test between New Zealand and South Africa. There were 6 players out of the 22 that played in the East Anglian Premier League or the Essex Senior League. Yeah. So you had Devon Conway was a pro in Norfolk. He was quite good apparently when he came over. Blundell was at Colchester. Glenton was with us. Hamza was at Saffron Walden last year and scored 1 million. It was quite funny. He came over, scored a load of runs, and then went, sorry, I've got to go back to South Africa, captain their A side, and then came back. So you think like we had Tino Best playing in our league, like you just, oh mate, just you don't get it anywhere else where it's the step below professional cricket, like semi-pro cricket, semi-pro sport. You wouldn't get it in rugby or football or anything else. It's frightening.
We have some. Last year, our pro was Dane Shardendorf, who not keeper, and he's 19, and he's still learning himself how he goes about his game. Came over from Zimbabwe, and I think that was, I can't remember. It was just before. I think it was just before COVID, and then played 1 year contract. And now going really well. But you were having conversations with him and his understanding, the more he was around the elite game, then when you came back and you were talking to him, his from week 1 to week 10 was massively different in him. And he'd openly say himself about performance that he did he was for us wasn't quite where he wanted it or where we wanted it, but what he brought to the club, the rest of it was awesome. He's playing somewhere else this year, but he's still been down and he's come down to the kids session, the kids training, like little things like that. And that you wouldn't get a professional footballer going, I know where I'll take 5 minutes out, or potentially wouldn't get that's probably a bit harsh saying you wouldn't get. I'm sure some would.
No, mate, I agree. I'm very lucky. I'm going to name drop it, but I've got Sam Hain on the on the pod this afternoon, and he made me laugh. I messaged I got shared by the Cricket Mentor in Australia. He shared me one of his stories. And somehow I looked at my views on my story, and Sam Hain had seen it, and I was like, right, here we go. This is the chance.
Get it there.
Yeah, and I just sent it this message like it'd be amazing if you could jump on. He just replied. He went, "Hi mate, £200 an hour for a podcast."
Yeah.
And I went, "Oh," and he went, "I'm only joking."
Yeah.
And I was
Mate,
like, that's class. You know, you got a bit
yeah.
about him, and
That's what it's about, though. Like,
yeah,
I think cricket is the community. Like, I know you have the different sections with playing, coaching, everything that goes off around it, and then they all build in the coaching community, the playing community, and your social. It then all builds into one massive thing. And whether you're playing professional cricket or Division 10 in wherever, there's still that same love for the game.
Yeah.
And that just, you get, like you said with Sam Hain, oh yeah, no problems, I'll come on. Like just having mates, and the filter is brilliant, and a lot of them will then drop down and play. And that's what it's about for me. That's how the game keeps growing, rather than in football. Where I play, there's a football club, and I've played a little bit of football myself, and they all move for, well, manager moves, or someone pays them 50p more, or whatever it is. And I'm like, it's silly. There's never build any community with it, or like juniors don't go through into the senior teams or anything. Whereas in cricket, that is massive, and it happens all the way through, all across the country, and probably even across the world, which is massive. It's massive.
Yeah, it is. And I love that. You know, this podcast is. I'm having friends all over the country now. It's great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be going for a beer in all these places. But it's also such a small world. You'll talk to some. I was messaging someone last. Crick Fit. I don't know if you've seen Crick Fit on.
Yeah.
So he knows someone I play cricket with at my club here. He also knows my boss down at Lords, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, do you know this person?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Yeah, I know him as well." And you just think, "Oh my," like it's so small, and like you'll know someone who knows this person. You know,
it's crackers.
Yeah, it's really weird, really, really weird. Once you're in that circle, like the circle gets smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah, it's. I don't think who it was. There was someone who was talking to me about an app. I can't remember what it was called, and they're cricket based. They come up with an app, and then they've started talking to you, and I'm like, sure, I already know that. Like, I've heard this before. And then it was, oh yeah, well, I know so and so, and I was like, that's one of my best mates. I'm like, are you kidding me? And it like so weird that you then go in, oh right, yeah. Like, well, next time you're around, come and have a beer and we'll have a chat with it. It's bizarre, so bizarre.
I'm starting to get some more friends up north, or in the Midlands. So I think I might do like a little tour.
Yeah, get yourself down, mate. It's a bit different.
I know. Well, I've got family that my godfather and my godson live in Sinfin, just south of Derby.
Yeah.
So I've been up. I love it. It's a nice part of the world, actually. My dad's a Geordie, so we go really far north.
Yeah. Literally fully across the country.
Literally. It's a pain because I love it up there, but getting there is a mission and a half. But yeah,
that's how we feel when we go into London.
I know. Oh mate, if I have to go across London, it's a nightmare still. I lived in London for 3 years. I was at uni down there, and I lived there, and I just I lived Wimbledon way.
Yeah.
And when I was working at Lords, I'd be going southwest to northwest, and oh god, it's such a pain in the arse. Like just going I'd have to go from Wimbledon into central London and then back out again, and it was just take me like over an hour to do like 6 miles.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I've been to London a few times, but it's then like I've got a few cousins that are there, and they tell me about some of the just the traveling, and I'm like, I can hop in a car, it takes me 10 minutes, and I'm half an hour. I would get stuck in traffic. It might be 45 minutes. there's none of this, like none of the hecticness, and it's a bit more leisurely, which suits my character, which I'm not sure I'd get on in London very well. Just with the hecticness.
It's 100 miles an hour. It's nuts. It is nuts.
It's good, mate. It's good. Just different lifestyles, isn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah. Maybe behind the grill tour. That'd be quite cool.
Yeah. Sure. You want to do it, and all the people you've
Oh, gone.
Sorry about that.
That's all right, mate.
I don't know. Someone was trying to ring.
Get out.
Pain in the backside from Telford, so I've got no idea who that is.
I'll go on a tour, have a pint in each place.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
do it on like who you've had. Just plan a route. Make sure you can have like a night in each place.
Netflix, if you're watching, you want to give me a series. Jack Whitewood is dad. Yeah, just Nathan and behind the grill. And then I'll get like Devon or somewhere, and they'll be like, "Oh no." That's one long.
You might be doing some serious travelling with that.
Yeah, I might do a company car. Well, that's on the bucket list. Why not? We'll do it, and we'll take it international. Because the problem is, if I get someone, I'm hopefully going to get the cricket mentor Tom Scully on.
Yeah.
So great, I'm gonna have to go to Perth. It's the last leg of the tour.
Yeah, boy, it ticks 2 bits off the bucket list. So
it does. I reckon we do it. Yeah, why not? Drink beer. I'm just looking at the cricket scores for today, because it's always good to talk about cricket on a cricket podcast. Let's talk Pakistan, Australia. Pakistan are 184 for 1. Probably playing on the flattest pitch on the world in Rawalpindi. How do you think Australia get on in Pakistan?
See, when the Ashes was going off, and you put the 2 teams together, if you put the Aussie team and the English team and picked an 11, how many of the English players would have got into that 11? And then you flip that. That was that was kind of where I got to.
Not many.
And you do the same in Pakistan, and in their conditions, no one's been to Pakistan for so long.
Yeah.
Playing in Abu Dhabi and Dubai and places, the wickets were so different. So I think everyone's sort of relearning of how they've got to go about it, because there's been PSL, so you've got little bits more now, but T20 cricket compared to Test match cricket, and like you said, a flat wicket, the Pakistanis are just going to dominate it.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? It's really interesting actually, because you said like it's a completely new challenge, isn't it? As you said about the UAE, and now they're in Pakistan. It's a completely different ball game.
Yeah, and the Aussies have got a really good bowling attack.
Yeah.
And I actually, like, I was talking about it to one of our friends, actually, when they come over here for the next Ashes, I still think that they will do very well.
Yeah.
Because they move the ball, they're seen as quicker, and they move the ball. So will they have that same effect in Pakistan? So it's then testing your spinners, your other skills, and that's where the challenge of they've not been able to do it for so long. So I'm backing Pakistan on it, to be honest. Like,
they're a good side as well.
Yeah.
You've got Babar Azam, I think, is so underrated in terms of where, if you look at you talk about the best batters in the world, his name never comes up.
Yeah.
Or it comes up with after the likes of Kohli, Labuschagne, Smith, Root, Williamson. Then you get Babar, but he's criminally underrated. Rizwan, according to the wicketkeeper coach, is the best keeper in the world.
Yeah.
And I think he's proper good.
Yeah. Yes, I'll not argue with Josh on that one.
Josh, yeah. And then you've got Shaheen Afridi, the young lad, Naseem Shah, and Shadab Khan. So it's going to be interesting. I think for Australia, as you said, it's one of the biggest things for them. And one thing I noticed in the Ashes is the one piece of the jigsaw they were missing was that all-rounder.
Yeah.
And Cameron Green he's proper.
Yeah, he's looked good. I think the thing for me was like if you looked, was it Hazelwood got injured?
Yes.
And Boland came in and he did well. But they're suited to those conditions. And I know you should be pick a team to win in those conditions. But if your all-rounders are so important to any team, if Stokes isn't bowling for us, then we have to pick another bowler.
Yeah.
So it is so important. And when you go to subcontinent, you spinners, like Nathan Lyon's pretty good, to be fair to it. I would, at the moment, he's probably one of the best in the world, if not the best. And that makes a massive difference. But if the other bowlers aren't pulling their weight and their role changes in Pakistan to Australia, first innings to second innings, and do they have those skills when they've not been around that for so long or seen how those conditions are? You chuck in the extra heat and all that, it's just a massive difference on your body as well.
Yeah, I think it'd be a really interesting series. I don't think you can write Australia off, but Pakistan in their own conditions are a different beast. It's interesting. I was looking at the teams, and Australia have gone with the usual 3-seamer spinner, and then they've gone Head and Labuschagne as their kind of part-timers. So
I think it's one of those. The Aussies have got a system that works, and like fair play to them, they stick to that. Pakistan are similar in that sense, like with Afridi, Naseem Shah. They've now got a couple of lads that are bowling 90 plus. And then they've got the mysteries, like the mystery spins in Shadab, and that kind of works with Aussies is similar. They've got Cummins, that pace, and that's what the teams around the world are all looking for.
It's that well-rounded attack, isn't it?
That medium pace. It's not really there anymore. I say medium pace, it's still 80 mile an hour at international cricket. Far too quick for, but you've got to be, your skills have got to be so tight at that. Whereas at 90 mile an hour, or some of them, sometimes it's even 95. That ball moving is frightening. Wood proved it against Warner. A little bit of movement, but a 90 mile an hour, and he's hopping around.
Yeah, I think England were really unlucky in the sense that probably the two quickest and proven fast bowlers in Archer and Stone were injured.
Yeah, injured.
I think you have a fully fit Jofra Archer in that series, and I wouldn't say it completely changed it, but it makes a massive difference. And you look at how Archer came in that 2019. Yeah, it was 2019.
Yeah, 19. Yeah.
Where I know it's mad, isn't it?
A while ago.
Where he came in there and just completely changed everything. So it's difficult. It is difficult, and what disappointed me as well with England was, Mark Wood of old, you do have to kind of wrap him up in cotton wool. The Mark Wood now we see can play back-to-back tests because he's fit as a fiddle, and he's not had many injuries, and I think he would have been good to go. And the same as I was disappointed not to see Saqib Mahmood.
Yes, yeah.
Someone who bowls quick gets it to nip, gets it to shape, but he bowls gas.
Yeah.
Why not?
The thing we found, like, when I was growing up, we had a lad that bowled at 90, and he still plays now. Unfortunately, he went down different paths, but that extra pace made so much difference. And even in nets and stuff, you don't want to walk in a net and have someone try and hit you in the face all the time. Like not when you've got to go to work the next day and it could be on a building site or whatever.
Yeah.
So and that's the same across international cricket. That bit quicker, or that person that spinner that turns it more, person who moves the ball more is so much more threatening. Higher pace and it moves more. You're onto a winner. But I don't think we don't seem to get as many through, or they're not seen.
No.
And if you do get someone that bowls 90, you definitely don't see him for a while. So it's a tough one. Other countries just seem to be producing them more. Whether that's the talent pool at the time, or are they doing more to produce them? I'm not sure, but it's Aussies, Pakistan. We just seem to, the squad we've picked, I know it's had to go to the West Indies, has had a bit of flack, but there's some younger, quicker bowlers in it. I think Stone and Archer are out there now training. So hopefully we're now starting to go, even in our conditions. Anderson and Broad, I do feel for them, because they were two best bowlers in Australia with Wood. But then also, at some point, you do have to bite a bullet and just go one. Like if they both go at the same time, it's a massive hole to fill. And every other country in the world, not that you should follow one model, but they have quick bowlers, good all-rounder. And I think the all-rounder with sound in Ben Stokes, it's what around or his backup. Chris Wokes is pretty good, to be fair to him. But it's that mould that you kind of, every country does kind of follow in that aspect, quick, spin, all round. Like if you're all round as a gun spinner or a gun seamer, it makes it so much easier. And obviously staying fit, which is seems to be a bit of a problem at the moment. But we'll see. I do think Pakistan look, especially in their home conditions, they look proper. Which would be
really interesting to see. Really interesting to see.
Absolutely.
Jimmy Lomas, I spoke to him on the pod, and he asked me whether we were talking about New Zealand, actually, how good New Zealand are, and he said because of how little cricket they play. The problem, one of the biggest problems with English cricket, I think, is the amount of games they play, and in terms of the touring, and you look at where they've just they had the T20 World Cup, then they had the Ashes, then they had a white ball series against the West Indies. Now they've got a red ball series against the West Indies. Then they play New Zealand in like May time.
Yeah.
And then they play someone in the summer. I can't remember if they play in the summer, but with that, and then also you've got IPL. Some of them play Big Bash. Some of them
PSL, Big Bash,
the 100, the whole full county program. It's just you can see why players struggle.
Yeah. And the thing is, as well, outside of that, they have if you're just playing, if I look at knots, they do so much work to get their bodies fit enough and well prepared, then they've still got to maintain that and play all three formats. Some of them. England's the same. They're doing the preparation, getting their bodies correct and ready to play. But then, like you said, they're here, then they're somewhere else, they're travelling, and they're playing back-to-back test matches. And you can almost do too much. like, don't get me wrong, like, I know it'd be a great job to have, but the stress of like everything with it sometimes could have a bit of the opposite effect. And then you chuck media in there when they're not doing as well, like, it's frightening. Like, it's just so much to handle, and that's the bit, like, I don't think sometimes especially with pro sport, even club cricket, the amount of work people put in to do well on a Saturday, and then you get to Saturday, someone bowls you a really good ball, nicks you off, and you walk off, and you've got some of the old boys going, "Oh, rubbish, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
Like, and they forget the work, or don't understand the work that's gone into for you to then go the next week and get the 100 or whatever, or fifer. Yeah. And it's so much cricket, and so much preparation that goes into it.
It's hard work. And like Jason Roy's just announced this week that he's not going to the IPL to take some time off, and you know, he hasn't done too well of late, and he needs it. He needs that rest, because you know, I do think eventually it will go down the route of, if they will segregate the two in terms of red ball and white ball. You know, I spoke on the first podcast about potentially England going with two different coaches, a red ball and a white ball coach. And I think there's going to be a stage where players play red ball and that's it.
Yeah.
And there'll be players that will play white ball and that's it. And they'll go and do the other. But the issue is, if you're a young and up and coming cricketer and you see the red ball side and the white ball side, which side are you going to?
Yeah.
It's such a draw, because you've got all these amazing competitions around the world. Where the money is, you know, you can go and be a millionaire in the IPL if you're good enough. Become a millionaire. So it's so difficult. And England are better at white ball cricket.
Yeah. I think it's a tough one. Like the coaching, I'd like to see him split it.
Yeah.
Just because I think if you, like, just using two people as examples, but like if you had like Langer, and I'd even potentially in a few years' time think Owen Morgan might just drop out and play and coach it. Because he's kind of been left to his own accord.
He runs that team.
He runs it so well. You know, like McCullum is now coaching in T20s. The way he ran New Zealand cricket was awesome, and Morgan's exactly the same for us in white ball. But the coaching side of it, the mental side, is so different in a lot of aspects, and same with playing. I've got a couple of friends that are analysts, and one of them said to me, "Says because that you're now trying to score 300, 350 in a white ball game, you're then going out and then they flip the next week they're playing 4-day cricket, and they're trying to hit the same ball, but the ball moves around more. So it's not necessarily that bowlers are, yes, the ball's moving around more and whatever, but they're playing at balls they shouldn't be, or potentially wouldn't if they were further into the red ball game. Which, like you say, it's just so, because it's so different in the formats. It is veering towards having, like, you're a white ball cricketer, you're a red ball cricketer, and why wouldn't you? Yeah,
you know,
prolongs your career for a bit. Like, you're not playing as much, so you get family time.
You can pick and choose as well, can't you? Really?
Yeah.
You're kind of, I wouldn't say you're obliged, but if you're an English cricketer, you play your English summer. And then you've got the choice if you want to go to Australia and play in the Big Bash, you go to the IPL, the Bangladesh, the CPL, whatever.
Yeah,
it's endless, really. The PSL.
It'll be an interesting one, I think, because if you like, I would still have, and I know we have David Malan, is he still number one in T20s? Like, I still would rather have Joe Root batting 3 in the T20s, personally. And it's one of those, but he's not, because of a lot of some of it's caused by COVID as well. But he's done, or is just playing red ball cricket now. when actually he was doing so well in white ball. I know he's capable of doing it.
Yeah.
And he is probably one that would want to play all formats.
Yeah.
Jason Roy and that might not be as bothered.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a couple there. You probably, I would say the two certainties are Stokes and Root.
Yeah.
I mean, Bairstow's giving a good old goal at the moment. He just got 100 for England.
Yeah.
He's making another comeback. Old Johnny.
Just likes his back up against the wall and people.
He does.
Not enough, and then next thing gets 100. Which fair play to him. He's
I wrote him off. I said that he shouldn't play. I was like, no, he should be nowhere near that team. And then he went and got 100. And again, fair play to the bloke. But it'll be really interesting to see what direction, because I do think there's going to be a massive shake-up with English cricket.
Yeah.
And are they brave enough to be the first international team to go with two coaches and separate it? And
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
It's just having that clarity on what they want to do.
Yeah.
Like when it went, and was it 2015 when Morgan was, and we got knocked out of the World Cup, and they were like, "Oh, Morgan shouldn't be captain." Well, he's proved everyone wrong, right? But they've just gone, right, okay, and he's gone, this is what we're going to do, and it's so clear. And whether that's the coach at the time with Trevor Bayliss and Paul Farbrace, they were right, this is what we're going to do. Owen, it's your team, and they all sung off the same hymn sheet. Whereas I think sometimes with Test cricket, we've been a bit here and there with it. Sometimes we're going like this route, sometimes going another route, and rather than just being, this is how we're going to do it. And even then, it adapts to your conditions, but actually this is what we want to achieve and how we're going to get there. Along the way, you will have to go off your streamline, if you like. But that's just part and parcel of life, not just sport. Like, doesn't always go plain sailing. So, but I'm interested to see. I kind of do want them to go down the split route. It's just like, so whether we're brave enough to do it. I would like them to get. I'd like Langer to be in there, but But also, if Collingwood does a good job, I wouldn't be adverse to him staying on and doing it. He's like Test match cricket. He had in terms of adapting to situations and games, like prop in England shirt, probably no one better. So actually, he wouldn't be a bad person either, potentially. But yeah, we'll see.
Wouldn't mind. I said about Langer. I would really like to see Langer in charge. Nothing better than Langer coaching an England team to beat Australia. Oh.
Yeah. Cause some havoc, I think.
Australia put two fingers up at him. I think he needs to do the same back. But it would be interesting to see.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, we're going to move on to my I call them my funny segments. I find them quite funny, but do this with every guest. So the first little segment we do is called the Breakfast Club.
Cool.
So you're for brekkie with three cricketers, past or present. Who are you going with?
Ooh. It's tough, actually. Kevin Peterson.
Yeah, fair.
Bit of controversy.
Just what you want on a morning brew.
Yeah. Which that means you need someone to calm it down a little bit. Yeah. Actually, in fact, I'd probably go KP and Flintoff. Just to Freddie's calmed down a bit now, so but still be good fun.
Already have a pint with breakfast.
Yeah, and then it's a tough one actually. Sachin Tendulkar. I reckon if especially if you got those two, you got a bit of fun, some controversy in there as well, and then Sachin to calm it down, and you can have a proper conversation with him as well.
You might need to get rid of Flintoff and Peterson for you to do that, mind you. But
KP, I reckon he'd surprise us a bit. hopefully. And I do quite like. It's a tough one, that, because I've been fortunate enough with the connections I've had and that kind of stuff that you've been and seen. So like, I was lucky enough when I was in Sri Lanka to meet Sangakkara, and like, the way they speak to you and stuff is incredible. But then I'm like, if you're just going, oh, I've been sat and spoke to him, all right, I've met him. I'd love to meet Sachin. Love to meet him, just to see how he goes about everything. So yeah, I reckon those three, just for, you got to have a bit of fun in there as well. Yeah. Peterson had poke at Flintoff, but I reckon Sachin had calm them down. You just sit and talk and see what happens, really.
Yeah. I'd quite like to watch that. Funny enough, actually, I met Tendulkar's son Arjun.
Yeah.
At Lord's. I was just in the office, and I was quite new, so I didn't really know too many people there. And he was just in the office talking to someone, and he said hello, and I spoke to him like I had no idea who he was. He went, "Oh, I'm Arjun." I was like, "Oh, nice to meet you, mate." And then he left, and then one of the lads went, "Do you know who that is?" I went, "I got Scooby." He went, "Oh, that's Sachin Tendulkar's son." I was like, yeah, okay, he's good, fair enough. But
that's the good thing. Like, he probably wouldn't have. Well, he didn't tell you.
No,
and that's awesome.
Yeah, like, I'm Arjun. That's it. I'm just Arjun. By the way, my dad was like the best cricketer ever lived.
And that's the vibe you get from, like, the feeling you get from Sachin as well. Actually, like, I know obviously most people know who he is, but it'd be an interesting one, I think, to me. But, yeah.
And to finish off, Mark, the podcast, it will understand I have a huge love for race horses. I love my horse racing. Right. It's how many days? 10 days till I go to Cheltenham. Right. Not counting down the days. So Mark, to finish off, if you had a racehorse, what are you calling it?
Oh, so I have no, like, with horse racing and stuff. To be fair, I don't really gamble about at all.
You're not?
No, more because, like, if I have been to the horses or to the racing and stuff, and they're brilliant days, but I'll go right, okay, I've got X amount, and that's me done. But I always lose, so just taking the approach now that I'm not very good at it.
No luck.
And that's the same on, like, I've put one bet on a football match, on football, and it was like PSG, Chelsea, Man City. People that were like, right, they will win, and they all lost. So I've just given it up. I don't know. There's like horse race's name. Cool.
Yeah. Funny enough, Jimmy said he was going to call his horse Mark. Yeah, he said he likes calling animals by human names. He's got a dog called Walter, and he said, "Yeah, I'm going to call my horse Mark." I was like, "Oh, that's
brilliant." Lucky Jimmy. There we go.
Jimmy.
Yeah, if that ever comes up, I will have a bet on it. But
perfect. I was messaging Luke Pomfret from the Sunrisers this last night, because there's a horse running today called Shearer.
Okay. And
we've got a massive love for Alan Shearer. So
yeah.
And he just replied, "Right, I'm getting a mortgage on it." I was like, "No, Luke."
Don't.
He was joking. To clarify that, he was joking.
Yeah.
We don't advocate putting your mortgage on a bet. Lucky Jimmy, I like it. It. Well, I'm gonna get a leaderboard. So I'm gonna have a leaderboard, and we're gonna get the viewers to vote on what they think the funniest name is.
I really hope Jimmy's doesn't like Mark.
Mark.
Done.
Mark oh yeah, it worked quite nicely. I think it worked quite nicely. Mark, thank you very much for your time, mate.
Yeah, no problems, mate. No problem. Enjoyed it.
That's been really good, really good fun. I will leave all of Mark's stuff, all his socials in the description. So go check out his page. And fingers crossed you're back coaching, back to normality.
Yeah, hopefully I'm looking. Well, it's getting there. I'm still hoping that I'll be able to play. So,
oh, good.
As well. So I'm there and thereabouts with it. So yeah. No, thanks for having me on. It's been really good fun. Look forward to doing it again, mate.
Yeah, happy days. We'll get you on the live tour.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, when Netflix come on and you can have your tour, travel around.
Only a couple of weeks' time, they'll be knocking on the door.
So they'll be ringing.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect. Right, guys, we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.